unquestioned integrity in all of their dealings, personal and legislative. Save them from folly and acts that will bring harm or discredit, and lead them to enact legislation that promotes common good. Grant them the humility to recognize mistakes and the courage to change, update, and revoke that which is obsolete or unfair. In addition to praying for them as senators, I pray for them as citizens, as people. Grant health for them and their families, and favor on their professions and businesses. Imbue them with wisdom as they seek to balance the burden of public service with all the other important people and responsibilities in their daily lives. In good times and in bad, may we recall our state motto, Nil sine numina, nothing without God, in whose matchless name we dedicate this session.
For the presentation of the colors. The colors will be presented by a detail representing the 220th Military Police Company from Buckley Air Force Base, which has been recognized with a Presidential Unit Citation. Our service members attending are Sergeant First Class Travis Petrie, who served our country in Bosnia and Iraq, Specialist Milos Vasuch, Private First Class Tanner Childs, who both fought several of the devastating fires we have had here in Colorado over the past few years, and in addition to providing support in the flood recovery last September, and also today Private Andrew Frederick, a military police officer.
Hey! Present home! Color guard. Post. Color.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Sergeant First Class Travis Petrie from the 220th Military Police Company.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Halt. Right. Peace. Ready. Step.
This morning, we are pleased to have the Strasburg High School Choir from Strasburg, Colorado, led by Kurt Elliott. The students in today's choir not only have wonderful voices, but they are involved in many other activities at their schools, such as athletics, cheerleading, band, speech, drama, and student government. As a group, the Strasburg High School Choir has been recognized with various honors, including the All-State Honor Choir, For today's performance, they will be singing the Star Spangled Banner. Thank you very much. They're wonderful, wonderful sounds, isn't that right? I'm sure that maybe, I'm not sure whether you brought a second opportunity for us to hear today, but Mr. Elliott, do you have something else in your pocket? All right. Shall we hear another one from the choir? All right.
We'd like to sing for you a beautiful arrangement of Shenandoah.
Shenandoah,
Thank you very much. Have a safe travels back to Strasbourg. Thank you. Please be seated. Pursuant to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Colorado, I hereby call to order the second regular session of the Colorado Senate of the 69th General Assembly of the state of Colorado. The Secretary of the Senate is in possession of documents from the Secretary of State regarding the certification of election results of the September 10th, 2013 elections in the Senate District 3 and in the Senate District 11. The Secretary of the Senate is also in possession of the November 27th, 2013 resignation letter from Senator Evie Hudak, as well as certification from the Secretary of State regarding the appointment to fill the vacancy created by the resignation. These communications shall be printed in the Senate Journal. The Journal will also reflect that the Chief Justice of the Colorado Supreme Court, Michael L. Bender, swore in Bernie Herpin and George Rivetta on Thursday, October the 3rd, 2013 at 11:30 a.m., and Rachel Zenzinger on Friday, December 13th, 2013 at 11:30 a.m. in the Senate chambers. Mr. Majors, would you please call the roll?
Aguilar. Here. Balmer. Here. Baumgartner. Here. Brophy. Cadman. Here. Carroll. Here. Crowder. Here. Grantham. Here. Harvey. Here. Heath. Here. Herpin. Here. Hill. Hodge. John. Johnston. Jones. Kafalis. Kerr. King. Lambert. Lundberg. Marble. Newell. Nicholson. Renfro. Rivera. Roberts. Scheffel. Schwartz. Stedman. Tocktrop. Todd. Ulibarri. Zenzinger. Madam President.
Here. With 35 present, 0 absent or excused, we have a quorum. Nominations are now open for President of the Senate. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I am honored and privileged to nominate Senator Morgan Carroll for President of the Senate in the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly of the state of Colorado.
Minority Leader Cadman.
Thank you, Madam President. Since the beginning, Colorado has been a state that has paved the way for the rest of the country and, frankly, the world. And today, all of Coloradans should be proud that we are making history again by once again electing now the second female president of the Senate. Congratulations, Senator Carroll. I second your nomination.
Are there any other nominations? Majority Leader Heath.
I move that the nominations be closed and that a unanimous vote be cast for Senator Carroll for president.
Are there any no votes? Seeing none, a unanimous vote is cast with a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, and 0 absent or excused. Senator Carroll is elected as President of the Senate in the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado. Madam President, while I have enjoyed the power these last few months, I am honored to present to you your gavel. There you go.
Don't go too far, Senator Guzman. Before we proceed, I just wanted to take this moment and recognize and thank you for making history in a number of ways. I believe you're the only President Pro Tem who has opened up a session on the way through. And Senator Guzman, for those of you who know, has behind the scenes stepped in without missing a beat and actually done the work of running the Colorado State Senate without a lot of recognition or fanfare, and has done so beautifully and honorably. And on behalf of the Senate, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
So the next order of business is the election of the Secretary of the Senate. Majority Leader Heath.
And for the first time, thank you, Madam President. It is indeed my honor to move that Cindy L. Markwell be elected as Secretary of the Senate during the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly.
The motion before the body is the election of Cindy L. Markwell as Secretary of the Senate during the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Ms. Markwell, would you please come forward so I may administer the oath of office? Thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Cindy Markwell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States and the state of Colorado,
of the United States and the state of Colorado,
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to which I am duly elected
to which I am duly elected
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules of the first regular session of the 69th General Assembly be made the temporary rules of the second regular session.
The motion before the body is to adopt the rules of the first regular session of the 69th General Assembly as the temporary rules of the second regular session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that a committee be appointed to notify the House that the Senate is organized, aren't we, folks, and ready for business.
Perfect. The motion before the body is to appoint a committee to notify the House that the Senate is organized and ready for business. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and a committee will be appointed. The President appoints Senators Kerr, Todd, and Balmer to notify the House that the Senate is organized and ready for business. Senators, you are excused. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that a committee be appointed to notify the governor that the Senate is organized and ready for business.
The motion before the body is to appoint a committee to notify the governor that the Senate is organized and ready for business. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and committee will be appointed. President appoints Senators John, Newell, and Herpin to notify the governor that the Senate is organized and ready for business. Senators, you are excused. The Senate will stand in recess until the committees return. To report to the Senate. Come on up. Representative Fisher.
Thank you and congratulations, Madam President. It is with indeed a great honor that I stand here before this august body on the last year of my career in the legislature to notify the Senate that the House is well organized and ready for business, and that we enjoy looking forward to working with you in many constructive ways for the citizens of the state of Colorado.
Thank you. Representative Labuda.
Thank you, Madam President, and congratulations to you two on your election. I also offer my congratulations to all of you who are returning for this session. As with Representative Fisher, this is my last term, probably my last term of business as an elected official, if my husband has anything to say about it. And I'm glad that you had enough entertainment to keep you entertained as long as you did. We enjoyed waiting outside. Thank you.
Representative Stain.
Thank you, Madam President. And I also offer my congratulations to this body. It is always a pleasure to wait upon the lower chamber. And we look forward to working with you in this upcoming session. Thank you.
I think you would have been gavelled there, but that's okay. Thank you very much. And we send, on behalf of the Senate, our best wishes for a productive session working with the House. We look forward to working with all of you and hope we have a great session. Thank you. So we are waiting for our Senate committees to come back while we are in recess, in case you are wondering what the pause is for, and we'll continue to be in a short recess. John McKay. It won't fit. Needs to go on a diet. Well, we got one committee back, I think. And we'll just do the House first and then the governor. Are the governor's committee back? Should I wait for them to come back? Or just... Yeah. You can let... Congratulations.
I did too.
And but there
Go to work people there, yeah, pay people for working.
went to
Yeah.
Brittany's kickoff last.
order. So at least one of our two committees is back. The committee to notify the House is back, and we will go ahead and hear from them. Would the committee please report? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Madam President. And we did report to the House. With the three of us being former House members, it was kind of fun to go back and kind of look out and see how different it looks now than it did when we were there. But we reported that we are ready to work. We have a new president. We have an attitude of working together and making this a very profitable and successful year across the state for all of our citizens. As I ask for all of our representatives, I ask for you special blessings, good health, happiness, joy, and peace to your families.
Thank you, Senator Todd. Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President, and it's nice to be able to say that. It was an interesting trip back in time for the three of us, and as Senator Todd mentioned, many familiar faces, also quite a few new ones. For some reason, I invited all of the representatives to someday join us in the Senate, and they were not happy with that comment. I'll just leave it at that. But they did seem, you know, they're the House. They're a little disorganized and loud and rowdy, but they do seem like they're ready to go. Some things never change. Representative Court was carrying a baby around, so some things just never change at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, it was great to see the House. I did not know that Speaker Ferrandino had grown a beard. So he needs to shave if he's going to be ready for the session, in my opinion. So he looks great, but wow. So, you know, I mentioned to he told me he was going to shave, that's a joke. I mentioned to the House colleagues that it's important that we lay aside our political differences, completely lay aside our political party affiliations, except for one important distinction that I hope that all of you take a principled stand on, and that is, are you a dog lover or are you a cat lover? And of course, this is a room full of politicians, so I'll expect you to say that you're both. But you need to take a stand and not be wishy-washy on this important issue this session. So, Madam President, it was an honor to be over in the House again, and it's great to be back as well.
Thank you, Senator Balmer. Thank you, Senators. And perfect timing. Let's go ahead and welcome back our committee reporting from the Governor's office. Committee, would you please join us to report? Welcome back. We were taking bets on whether you were offered a beer when you were staying with the Governor. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. We come back and with greetings from the Governor, and we have already had a couple of jokes and stories from him about one of my constituents, Peyton Manning, and of course I throw that in every time I can. And I will also say that we got some advice from him during the session, which is to, what is it, go long and wide, I think was his. And then my recommendations to him was to sign every bill that we give him. And let's see, what else? And then we got to see one of the prison-trained dogs that they have now in the office, which was awesome, an adopted dog. And so he's ready to go, he's anxious to go, and he's also really excited about the compromises that we're making this session.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam President. Be gentle. This is my first time in the well, other than the swearing in. We had a very nice visit with the Governor. I think he's looking forward to working with us, and he hopes that we will work together for the betterment of the state. So, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome and congratulations. Senator John.
Thank you, Madam President. And what is there to add? You know, he is a man of very simple words. He said, you know, we really need to work together. We need to work on the issues that are important to the state. Things that are very important to him this session, he said, of course, is working with our small businesses. And of course, that means all of the rural areas as well. So I was very happy to hear that. So, said that we're ready to do business. And he said, great, he's missed us. It was a quiet building.
Introduction and consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 1?
Senate Joint Resolution 1 by Senator Heath and Representative Court concerning the officers and employees of the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of SJR 001 regarding the retention of General Assembly employees and salary ranges.
The motion before the Senate is the adoption of SJR 1. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, SJR 1 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Resolution 1?
Senate Resolution 1 by Senator Heath concerning the appointment of officers and employees for the Senate convened in the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that SR 001 lay over until tomorrow.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Resolution 1 will lay over until tomorrow. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would request that Mr. Majors read the letters regarding the changes in committees of reference and standing committees.
Mr. Majors, would you please read those letters?
Senate, State of Colorado, Denver, Senate Majority Leader, December 16, 2013. As you know, Senate rules require that as the Majority Leader, I determine the balance of party representation on committees, the size of each committee, and the majority party appointments to the committees, including chairs and vice chairs. Due to a recent Senate resignation, I have changed the size of the Senate Judiciary and Local Government Committees, named Senator Andy Curtis of the chair of the Senate Education, and appointed the new Senator Rachel Zenzinger as a member of Senate Education and Senate Local Government. New committee sizes are as follows. State Affairs, 3 majority, 2 minority for a committee size of 5. Business Labor Technology, 4 majority, 3 minority for a committee size of 7. Judiciary, 3 majority, 2 minority for a committee size of 5. Education, 4 majority, 3 minority for a committee size of 7. Health and Human Services, 4 majority, 3 minority for a committee size of 7. Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy, 4 majority, 3 minority for committee size of 7. Finance, 3 majority, 2 minority for committee size of 5. Local Government, 4 majority, 3 minority for committee size of 7. Transportation, 3 majority, 2 minority for committee size of 5. Appropriations, 4 majority, 3 minority for committee size of 7. The majority party committee appointments are as follows. Agriculture, Senator Gail Schwartz, Chair. Senator Matt Jones, Vice Chair. Senators Lois Tocktrop and Lucia Guzman. Business Labor Technology, Senator Lois Tocktrop, Chair. Senator Sherry John, Vice Chair. Senators Gail Schwartz and John Gonzalez. Education, Senator Andy Kerr, Chair. Senator Michael Johnston, Vice Chair. Senators Nancy Todd and Rachel Zenzinger. Finance, Senator Michael Johnston, Chair. Senator Andy Kerr, Vice Chair. Senator Jesse Ulibarri. Health and Human Services, Senator Irene Aguilar, Chair. Senator Linda Newell, Vice Chair. Senators John Gonzalez and Jeannie Nicholson. Judiciary, Senator Lucia Guzman, Chair. Senator Linda Newell, Vice Chair. Senator Michael Johnston. Local Government, Senator Jeannie Nicholson, Chair. Senator John Gonzalez, Vice Chair. Senator Gail Schwartz and Rachel Zenzinger. State Affairs, Senator Jesse Ulibarri, Chair. Senator Matt Jones, Vice Chair. Senator Irene Aguilar. Transportation, Senator Nancy Todd, Chair. Senator Sherry John, Vice Chair. Senator Matt Jones. Appropriations, Senator Mary Hodge, Chair. Senator Pat Stedman, Vice Chair. Senators Jesse Ulibarri and Nancy Todd. I am happy to answer your questions you may have. Sincerely yours, Raleigh Heath, Senate Majority Leader. Senate, State of Colorado, Denver, Senate Minority Leader, November 4th, 2013, to the Honorable Lucia Guzman, President Pro Tempore of the Senate. Dear Madam President, I am pleased to appoint the following senators to serve on Senate committees of reference. Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy, Senators Brophy, Harvey, and Roberts. Business Affairs, Labor and Technology, Senators Balmer, Baumgartner, and Rivera. Education, Senators Renfro, Marble, and Sheffel. Finance, Senators Grantham and Hill. Health and Human Services, Senators Lundberg, Crowder, and Hill. Judiciary, Senators Lundberg, King, and Roberts. Local Government and Energy, Senators Balmer and Marble. State Veterans and Military Affairs, Senators Harvey and Herpin. Transportation, Senators King and Rivera. Appropriations, Senators Lambert, Harvey, and Renfro. Sincerely, Bill L. Cadman, Senate Minority Leader. Senate State of Colorado, Denver, Senate Minority Leader, December 31st, 2013, to the Honorable Lucia Guzman, President Pro Tempore of the Senate. Dear Madam President, I am pleased to appoint Senator Kevin Grantham to the Senate Appropriations Committee, replacing Senator Scott Renfro, effective immediately. Sincerely, Bill L. Cadman, Senate Minority Leader. Senate State of Colorado, Denver, Senate Minority Leader, December 31st, 2013, to the Honorable Lucia Guzman, President Pro Tempore of the Senate. Dear Madam President, with the change of size of the Senate Judiciary Committee and Senate Local Government Committee, I am pleased to appoint Senator Bernie Herpin to the Senate Local Government Committee and will be removing Senator Ellen Roberts from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Sincerely, Bill O. Cadman, Senate Minority Leader.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the approval of the following changes to the presidential appointees to the Legislative Council Committee. Senator Lois Talktroff will fill a vacancy.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senator Talktroff is appointed to the Legislative Council Committee. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the approval of the following changes to the presidential appointees to the Committee on Legal Services. Senator Pat Stedman will fill the vacancy.
You've heard the motion. Are there any no votes? Senator Stedman. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senator Stedman is appointed to the Committee on Legal Services. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the approval of the following changes to the presidential appointees to the Capital Development Committee. Senator Sherry John will fill the vacancy.
You've heard the motion. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Sherry John is appointed to the Capital Development Committee. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the approval of the following changes to the presidential appointees to the Legislative Audit Committee. Senator David Balmer will replace Senator Owen Hill.
You've heard the motion. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, that motion is adopted. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate stand in recess to hear the remarks of Senator Carroll, the President of the Senate, and Senator Cadman, Senate Minority Leader.
Okay, we are going to pause just a minute before that motion. Senator Heath, if you'd withdraw it for a message from the House.
I will withdraw that motion.
January 8, 2014, Madam President, the House has adopted and transmitted herewith House Joint Resolution 1001. Pursuant to the resolution, the Speaker has appointed Representatives Buckner as Chairman, Vigil, and Murray.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of SJR 001 regarding the retention of General Assembly employees and salary ranges.
The motion is for the adoption of HJR 1001. Are there any no votes? Mr. Majors, would you please read the title for HJR 1001?
House Joint Resolution 1001 by Representative Hollingworth and Senator Heath concerning a joint session of the House of Representatives of the Senate for the purpose of hearing a message from His Excellency Governor John Hickenlooper and appointing a committee to escort the governor.
Okay. Now, Majority Leader Heath. You could renew your motion for HJR 1001.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I move for the adoption of HJR 1001 regarding the joint session on Thursday, January 9th for a message from the governor.
Now the motion is the adoption of HJR 1001. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, with a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the motion is adopted. Co-sponsors. Okay, seeing none. I appoint Senators Nicholson, Aguilar, and Rivera to escort the governor to the State of the State address tomorrow. Majority Leader Heath.
So I think I can renew that motion again. So I move that the Senate stand in recess to hear the remarks of Senator Carroll, the President of the Senate, and Senator Cadman, Senate Minority Leader.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the Senate will stand in recess. Well, welcome everyone, and good morning. Good morning to Senator Cadman and your family, to all my Republican and Democratic colleagues, all of our guests in the chamber, all the staff of the building, and people of the state of Colorado. Thank you for joining us today to help us launch the 2014 legislative session. I want to take an opportunity to thank and embarrass my partner and soulmate of 8 years for being here today and for being the most supportive partner one could possibly hope for, Mike Weissman. Want to stand and be embarrassed and help us welcome you to the chamber. You can see his modesty makes up for my lack of it. So, joining us today briefly, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple. We've got a whole host of wonderful guests that are here today, and we'll hear more from a few of them a little bit later. But my friend Eric Hawken, if you would stand and be recognized, is joining us, came from Texas to help us bring in. So this is Eric. Thank you for coming from Texas. Bernie Rogoff, where did you go? Bernie Rogoff, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Fellow Auroran, thank you for being here. And I'll introduce a little bit later longtime friend of mine, Darren Roth, and his 2 nephews, and so I'll save your embarrassment for a little bit later. So I think it's appropriate to start off by contemplating unity for this session. The Great Seal of the United States carries the inscription, Et pluribus unum. It means out of many, one. This motto is who we are as Americans. It is who we are as Coloradans. We are one from many. We are all individuals with different life experiences coming from different parts of the state or the country. Our diversity and differences are a source of strength, and we are here united to serve one goal, to diligently act as public servants for the people of Colorado. We are here to work to create good-paying jobs so families can pay the bills, have a roof over their head, can afford daycare, send their kids to college or trade school, and enjoy economic security in their retirement. Our job is to pave the way so that Coloradans have the freedom to succeed. I have every reason to believe that we can and will work together to accomplish that end. Education is the backbone of a healthy democracy. A vibrant economy is essential for individual liberty, for people to pursue their dreams, their careers, their economic security, and their passions. Affordable access to college or trade school education is critical to protect our freedom to succeed. Education has always been somewhat of a religion in my family because they have all had to fight for the education they received. They saved for it. They sacrificed for it. They cherished it. It opened doors and minds. Their story was part of Colorado's story and what education means to real people. My grandfather, Earl Carroll, left his home as a young man in Illinois to come to Colorado, at the time to work on the railroad and as a ranch hand in Craig, Colorado. He enlisted and would serve in the Army to serve in World War I, and when he returned, he wanted a college education, but he could not afford to go. He added jobs and did without. He described familiar hunger pains in great detail as he literally would go hungry to help save money so that he could get a college education. Like many students today, he didn't go to college right after high school, and he needed to interrupt his education several times where he needed to stop and take extra jobs to earn more money. He attended Colorado State University and would go on to the law school at the University of Colorado. His education allowed him to make a good life for himself here in Colorado, in Alamosa, Lamar, Springfield, Ridgeway, Gunnison, and Hotchkiss. During the Depression, he lost a lot, like most people did. But his education allowed him to survive better than many. Because of his education, he was able to come back strong, and he never forgot that or took his education for granted. My mom, Rebecca Bradley, was the first person in her family to complete a college education. When she was growing up in Denver and Aurora in the 1940s and 50s, many people, including her own father, still believed that the only possible future for a woman was to marry and have children. And while that might have been a good choice for some, for her, this was a terrifying proposition. She was raised in an environment where she saw her mom trapped in a relationship, financially dependent on someone who, despite his other strengths, was also a controlling and physically abusive man. Without an education or a job, her mom was entirely financially dependent on someone who was cruel and controlling in an era where divorce was quite unthinkable. Freedom for my mom was an education. My mom's path to independence was an education, but no one in her family had ever received a college education, and her father initially thought, like so many others at the time, that a college education was wasted on a girl. When my mom was 7, she and her younger brother, of maybe 4 at the time, were in a family car, stopped with a flat tire. While her father was changing the tire, he asked her brother, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" He wanted to be a big, strong trash man. Silence. Then my mom asked, "Don't you want to know what I want to be when I grow up?" His answer, "Well, it doesn't matter. You're going to get married." Her answer, "I don't want to get married. I don't want a man to be my boss." His answer, "Well, even if you go to work, a man will still be your boss anyway." My mom's answer, "No, I'll be my own boss." Slap. His response was to hit her in the face at the age of 7. She felt trapped. These life options were not okay for her. Without any other support or role model, and in the face of active antagonism, my mom went on to college at the University of Denver, and she was able to go only because of financial aid and scholarships. She received her undergraduate degree in mathematics, quite a feat now as well as then, and yet her calling was for social justice as an advocate. She needed to find a way to help other people who lacked the power to fight for their rights. She went on to pursue a law school education at DU, also with the help of financial aid, and was one of only 2 women at the time in her graduating law school class of 1966. I am proud to be joined here today by my mom and my hero, Rebecca Bradley. Please help us welcome her to the chamber. While I too didn't have the money to go to college and didn't really go right away after high school and also needed to work throughout college, the choices my parents and grandparents made to pursue a higher education opened doors for me. I worked 2, then 3 jobs after high school to save for college, but in the end I still could not have gone to college without financial aid either. I began at the Community College of Denver, transferred to CU Denver, and completed my law degree locally here at CU. This allowed me to practice law with my mother. To this date, we are still the only mother-daughter law firm I have encountered, but I hope there are many more to come. See, for my family, education was not only a path for a career, but the path to freedom and independence and acquiring the skills to advocate for other people and their rights. If you've ever been on the other side of being poor trapped, or discriminated against, you don't forget it. And when you make it, you have an obligation to ensure that others can do the same. Access to college or trade or technical education changes lives. Yet the opportunities that were there for 3 generations before me in planting roots in Colorado are now going the wrong way, moving backwards. And college is less affordable now than it was when I was in school. College tuition and fees have gone up more than 600% since 1985, more than gas, medical inflation, or energy inflation during the same period of time. It's nearly 6 times greater than the increase of general inflation during the same time period. And even as recently as 2000, the student share of tuition used to be about 28%, and the state share was 72%. Today, that trend is reversed, where the student share of tuition is now 65%, and the state share is down to 35%. College textbooks have gone up 812% since 1978, more than 3 times the consumer price index during the same period of time. Wages can't keep up. Wages have been stagnant, and over the same period of time, tuition has tripled. The average student debt level is now well over $29,000, almost doubling in just 8 years. There is nearly $1 trillion outstanding in student debt in this country, in the United States. And it does matter. 70% of the new jobs in Colorado will require college or an advanced or technical skill degree by the end of the decade. 5,500 good-paying jobs available right now today in Colorado are unfilled due to a gap in skills training. As recently as 2012, we saw a gap where the youth unemployment rate nationally was 10% higher for youth unemployment for those without a college degree than those who had one. So what we're talking about is squeezing out economic and life opportunities for an entire generation. This is an unsustainable trend that threatens to weaken our economy. Shouldn't the next generation have the same or better opportunities than we did? This is about their freedom to succeed. It is about our freedom to succeed. Our institutions of higher education are not only where economic opportunities are born, but as you all know, serve as economic engines in every corner of our state, whether that be CU, Western State, the Auraria campus, CSU, UNC, Adams State, Fort Lewis, Mines, Colorado Mesa, any of our community colleges, vocational technical schools, you name it. They're economic anchors in our communities. And that is why we are introducing the College Affordability Act, Senate Bill 1. The College Affordability Act reflects a shared priority between the Senate, the House, the Governor, and the Joint Budget Committee to put a dent in reversing this trend. Senators John and Kerr, Representatives McLaughlin and Garcia are introducing the measure, we hope with the full support of the Senate, to add over $100 million of reinvestment to higher education and increasing both need and merit-based financial aid and restoring a 6% cap on tuition increases in the state of Colorado. A good education is inextricably tied to a healthy economy and individual opportunities and freedoms to pursue a person's strongest talents and desires. Educated people not only benefit from a higher employment rate and salary, but also help prompt entrepreneurship and job creation. And creating good-paying jobs that foster economic security is a priority for all of us in this chamber. It is a priority that we provide the opportunity for the freedom to succeed. But there is some good news in Colorado's economic health. We have outpaced most of the nation in our economic recovery. We have the 4th fastest job growth in the United States, and that is projected to continue in the year or so ahead. Right now, Colorado's current unemployment rate is 6.5%. That was 7.5% just a year ago. We are moving in the right direction, and Colorado does have a good story to tell. Colorado is first in the country for our labor supply. We are second best state in the country to start a business. Colorado is the second best state for entrepreneurship and innovation, and we're the fourth best state for projected economic growth in the United States. And we have added 161,000 jobs and are one of the few states that have surpassed our pre-recession job levels. But our recovery is not done, and there is another story to tell about our overall economic health that's not exactly included in those figures. Our chronic long-term unemployed is still too high. The U.S. and Colorado have both seen stagnant wages for decades, while the cost of living continues to climb. And the gaps between the wealthiest and the poorest grow greater every year. The loss of good-paying middle-class jobs has destabilized our economy. We know that a good-paying job is essential to a person's freedom to succeed, as well as to the health of our overall economy, which is why I believe Colorado will see us unite in our commitment to continuing to grow good-paying jobs and pursue public policies that improve our economic security. This session, you will see legislation and investment to advance rural access to high-speed internet, continued workforce development, job growth incentives, IT and hospitality career pathways, more assistance for small businesses in procurement to better compete for state contracts, expanded investment in advanced industries, increased investment in the Colorado Careers Act, and expect a bipartisan effort to revisit a reduction in the business personal property tax that is still able to protect the local government share. We also know that the freedom to seek and maintain a good-paying job is in no small way affected by the cost and availability of childcare for working moms and dads. We all found out recently that Colorado, unfortunately, has the distinction of being the fifth most expensive state for childcare in the country. The average cost in Colorado now for an infant in childcare is over $12,000 a year for an infant, and over $9,000 annually for a child of 4. Daycare is now actually higher than the average cost of in-state tuition at a Colorado 4-year institution. And we all agree how expensive that has become. This is an even bigger hurdle for many women in the workforce, for single parents, and it is a major contributing factor between some of the pay gap between men and women. This is why we are enhancing Colorado's child care tax credit, enhancing Colorado's child care assistance program, and continuing to explore models around the country that support employers who choose to provide daycare for their workers. As we continue to work to strengthen Colorado's economic recovery, we must also keep our focus on helping families and communities that were devastated by floods and wildfires in Colorado. Colorado was hit by a once-in-a-100-year flood, we hope no more, in September that killed at least 8 people, damaged or destroyed 2,000 homes, washed out hundreds of miles of road, completely cut off some communities, damaged nearly 2,000 square miles, shut down 1,900 oil and gas wells, strained wastewater systems, electrical systems, phone systems, schools, and businesses. And within an instant, heroes emerged. The first responders were swift, courageous, and exceptional throughout the floods. They saved a 23-year-old young mother, Erin Brazil, from drowning as she was trapped in her car. Her 3-year-old daughter, Autumn, still has a mother because of our first responders. Neighbors helped Carmen Aranda dig out of her driveway so she could still transport her disabled son. And strangers pitched in without name, credit, or recognition. The Boulder Mudslingers organized quickly to offer people power to step in where needed for people they often had never even met. Families set up the Donna Room Fund when her driveway washed away and left her home stranded as an island. During these tragic and difficult events for the floods in Colorado, we saw parents, children, and siblings who were separated and sometimes without the ability to even communicate with each other to know they were safe. Everyone impacted who survived hugged their children and loved ones a little tighter. We are joined today by Parker and Bodie Johnson and other families who are victims of the recent flood. And at this time, I would like to ask you to stand, and all of you who have been affected by the flood, please stand and let us welcome you to the chamber. On behalf of the Senate, we send our condolences for the loss and our tribute to your steel and metal and resolve to hold together as a family and a community. And you have us with you as you continue your recovery efforts. Thank you for being here today. Significant recognition and thanks are also due to our local fire departments, local governments, paramedics, police, FEMA, and the National Guard. You saved lives, often at great risk to your own. Thank you. I also want to thank Governor Hickenlooper, CDOT, and many of our state employees and others who worked around the clock to find as many ways as possible to expedite recovery and relief in our flood-impacted communities. We created the Bipartisan Flood Disaster Study Committee, and some of the early bills created in that effort include removing red tape so local governments can expedite repair of roads and bridges, including waiving property taxes. Who wants to pay taxes on a property that has been destroyed and is maybe even no longer standing? But disasters such as these serve to remind us that the things that matter most in life are the people we love and care about. Last session was a busy and productive session, and much of what we actually worked on was eclipsed by marijuana and gun laws in the major headlines. And while DC was criticized for doing too little, some questioned whether we in Colorado did too much. But 95% of all we did in Colorado last year, we did with bipartisan support. And while some issues were no doubt controversial, most of the policies we pursued and the results we obtained are supported by a strong majority of Coloradans. I want to thank you specifically for the passage of civil unions and tell you why its passage is so important to me. I met my friend Darren in 1997 in my first year of law school. We hit it off immediately. We bonded over the tyranny of law school, over an abidingly irreverent sense of humor, and soon after, not long, I would meet Darren's partner, his life mate and soulmate, David Riffle, and the three of us were fast friends and no doubt a trio of trouble. David, however, was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2012, with an aggressive form of cancer, and he fought like a lion. David and Darren watched the 2012 session with great hope and interest, because after 16 years together, they wanted more than anything to enter a civil union. And while they could recognize their relationship with some measure of equal rights in another state, it was important to them both that they be able to do so in their home state of Colorado. But civil unions didn't pass that year. David's health took a turn for the worse. He was in and out of hospitals for chemotherapy and related infections common for people suffering from blood cancers. Last year, with the bipartisan support, we finally passed civil unions, and it was signed into law by Governor Hickenlooper on March 21st, 2013. David and Darren were planning on being there. They wanted to be there. But David was in the hospital and too sick to attend. Governor Hickenlooper saved him a pen, one of the ones that was used in the signing of the civil unions law, and that historic pen was brought to David in the hospital. I wish you could have been there to see what that signing pen meant to David and Darren. The first civil union ceremonies were scheduled to begin on midnight on May 1st, 2013. But on April 26th, just 5 days before, Darren lost the love of his life to cancer, and David died. It was too late for David and Darren to enter a civil union in Colorado, but it's not too late for others. Sometimes, as Martin Luther King indicated, justice delayed really is justice denied. I'm really proud to let you know that Darren is here. I was going to say David. Maybe David's with us in the chamber too. Darren is here with us today With Darren and David's nephews, Pearson and Nathan Henry, please join me in welcoming them to the chamber. I want to thank all of you for the work you did in moving Colorado closer to an equality state and to honor the freedom to love your soulmate and the equal legal rights that go with it. I want to thank Senator Roberts and other Republicans for joining us in the final passage of civil unions. But that bipartisan work and support on important bills actually was not the exception last session. And despite the headlines, it was actually the norm. Colorado has a proud tradition of Democrats and Republicans working together. Last session in Colorado, 95% of the bills passed were done so in a bipartisan fashion. We have a proud tradition of living within our means, where Democrats and Republicans work together to balance our budget every year. When we've identified duplication, waste, or inefficiencies within our state, we have worked together to better streamline time and money for the people of Colorado. Senator Balmer worked with me to help enhance property rights on HOAs. Senator Baumgartner carried out historic work with Senator John in implementing the first of its kind Amendment 64. Senators Brophy and Hill helped pass in-state tuition for all Colorado kids who are residents of Colorado, along with Senators Johnston and Herone. Senator Cadman helped fight for justice for families who are victims of state negligence in wildfires alongside Senator Morris. Senator Crowder helped expand Medicaid for access to health care in rural Colorado alongside Senator Aguilar. Senators Harvey and Scheffel helped Senator Hudak and myself work to protect rape victims from custody battles when a rape results in the birth of a child. Senator King worked to enhance school resource officer programs in Colorado with full support of Democrats and Republicans alike. Senator Lambert, you helped make income tax modifications for the recipients of the Military Family Relief Fund administered by Chaplain Meverden, who we saw earlier today, a program that I started with Senator Jones back in 2005. Senators Renfro worked with Senator Hudak to facilitate direct deposit income tax refunds for college savings. So as you can see, working together was actually nothing unusual last session. And this session we can do even better. Yet public opinion of politicians, public servants, or anyone in public office is at an all-time low, and people are frustrated. They have come to expect the worst from us. Our founders fought for a country that would represent the people. When the elected officials are chosen through free and fair elections, government is no longer an it. It's not a them or an other or an enemy. But in a democracy, when we all get to participate in this, it actually becomes a we and an us and the people. And while we at the state level cannot fix all of the frustrations and disappointments that people experience with elected officials, we can show that we, here in Colorado, right here in the Senate chamber, are different. We are better. They deserve to demand and expect more from us as elected leaders. Congressional approval is at an all-time low with an approval rating of a whopping 9%. And according to an October survey done by Public Policy Polls, Congress is actually less popular than toenail fungus and dog poop. People despise politicians. About.com describes the public sentiment about political debates as, quote, shouting matches filled with insults and half-truths instead of forums for political candidates to express opposing or different points of view. Perhaps most disturbingly, according to The Atlantic, millennials, those folks born between 1982 and 2003, don't see politics or government as a way anymore to improve their communities, their country, or their world. And not surprisingly, there's even a hashtag called Politicians Suck. So let's defy those expectations together. People expect us to be self-serving. Let's instead be public-serving. When we can defy those expectations by putting the needs and interests of the people in our districts above any personal or partisan interests, People expect us to fight and bicker. So let's skip the shouting matches and instead problem solve. And in those few instances where we actually are unable to find agreement, let's do so respectfully. Our friendships across the aisle here, at home, and among our friends is our best path to forego the scorched earth politics and see the basic humanity in each other, in all of us, and in our differing communities. People expect us to put politics over policy. Let's instead put good public policy over politics and leave the campaigning and electioneering for after the legislative session and outside the Capitol. People expect us to stall, delay, and obstruct. Let's instead move at a deliberate, thoughtful pace with timely results that serve the people of the state of Colorado. People expect us to put special interests over their interests. And let's instead show that through renewed outreach and listening, how their ideas become our priorities. And when there are legitimate differences of opinion within our own communities, and let's face it, we have legitimate differences of opinion in all of our communities, let's mediate rather than divide. Colorado has a proud tradition of Democrats and Republicans working together, and I'm proud of this chamber and the people who serve in it. I believe we have the power. I believe that we have the power to help empower people, and I believe in the power of people to shape and impact this process. We can all open our doors a little wider, do a little more customer service for our constituents, put a little more time in trying to best utilize the full talents and knowledge of everyone in this chamber to try and get better results. And if we do our job, we can defy expectations, serve the state of Colorado, keep the welcome mat out for all Coloradans. We can leave this state better than we found it. If we do our job, the people of Colorado will be free to succeed, take personal responsibility, and pursue their own dreams and goals at work, school, and home. So let's unite and remember the motto of the Great Seal of the United States, et pluribus unum, out of many, one, and make sure that we are working together to create the freedom to succeed. Thank you for caring about Colorado. At this time, it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce my colleague and my friend, our State Senate Minority Leader, Senator Bill Cadman.
A man who lived these words, left these words for us to share. To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others. Nelson Mandela. Seems appropriate for an opening day, doesn't it? And I certainly think that's consistent, President Carroll, with your words. And good morning to you as well. By the way, that was very well done. These are tough speeches, and congratulations. Majority Leader Heath, nice to see you. Good morning. Welcome, colleagues, families, guests. Secretary Markwell, congratulations. Unanimous this time. Would you please help me welcome my wife, Lisa? I know I promised you the most amazing dinner you will ever get, but I didn't tell you there was going to be a couple hundred of us there with you. Yeah. Did y'all hear that? As long as I'm there. Before I begin my remarks, I do want to comment on a couple things that a couple of you said this morning. This is my wife, not my daughter. I don't want to name names, but thank you, Senator Crowder and Senator Aguilar. You call yourself a doctor? not my daughter. It is a tradition here to use our opening day remarks to look ahead, to share thoughts, to share our plans, and our hope for how our efforts in this institution will help shape Colorado's future. Opening day offers some, not all, but oftentimes some themes that are bipartisan. We share our common concerns for the uncommon challenges of governing, and we do tend to focus more on collaboration than confrontation. I think, President Carroll, you have already affirmed this. Our tradition also includes looking back, reflecting on recent history, and just like we did last year, it's important to acknowledge and recognize the astounding events that occurred in 2013. A year, as you heard, as you know, as many of you lived, a year that brought Colorado horrific loss from fires. Again. Isn't that a horrible word to say? Again. 2013 also brought flooding of biblical proportion. And unfortunately, in 2013, Colorado experienced another year where the unbelievable acts of violence took the lives of the innocent. And to the families of Nathan Leon, Tom Clements, and Claire Davis, you will continue to be in our prayers. Having attended 2 of these memorial services, I know my own life was enriched by the celebration of their lives. And all of us who attended those services are grateful to their families. Our state has had a couple very tough years, and our people have faced historic challenges. And confronted by these trials, we saw again and again, as you alluded to, President Carroll, neighbors, friends, strangers becoming heroes all across Colorado. Predicting and preventing the kind of tragedies we experienced is a noble idea, but nearly impossible quest. Disasters and acts of violence are virtually beyond our control. But emergency preparation and response is not beyond our control, and it's the duty that's shared by individuals and organizations alike. And what we witnessed from Colorado Springs to Estes Park, from Boulder to Greeley, from Lyons to the Royal Gorge and many other places, was a shining example of the heart of Colorado and the spirit of our people. From our first responders to stay-at-home parents, from oil and gas workers to insurance adjusters, from farmers to financial executives, from our National Guard to community leaders, community churches, from our state and federal emergency personnel to municipal employees, we saw all hands on deck, and thank you, President Carroll, for highlighting them as well. And when you look at the diversity of the groups that came together this year, it was incredible. Organizations that included Jewish Colorado, Samaritan's Purse, Longmont Meals on Wheels, Black Forest Together, the Red Cross, Lutheran Family Services, Boulder Shelter for the Homeless, Catholic Charities of Denver, Weld Food Bank, and the list goes on and on and on. They all came together for Coloradans in need. Our devastation was no match for our human spirit. And we have several folks here today that you were introduced to earlier, and I wanted to add to that list. And I think we have enough time to maybe recognize them one more time, but if you've noticed that we have a couple folks in uniform that are from Lyman, and if you've read anything about that place, it turned into 6 islands where there used to be a town, 6 islands. And it turns out they actually had a barbecue so that they could get rid of all the food before it spoiled. At one point, is my understanding that only 1 or 2 people even had radios to communicate between the islands. I mean, you had to take a boat across town. So with us today is, from the fire department, is John Stambaugh and Michael Marzano, and also with them is Wayne Anderson, who's a business owner, owns a couple businesses in Lyman. Unbelievable story. What did I say? Lions. in Lyons. But maybe we could use this opportunity to thank them and all the people that they represent and all those people who stood earlier. Could we just thank you one more time and thank you for joining us this morning? Lyons. I'd like to move an amendment to my words. Yeah. Our fires and floods certainly made history, but they weren't the only notable events of 2013. Last year included the loss of a great leader whose words I shared with you earlier, Nelson Mandela. 2013 also brought the 100th. Oh, this is important. Nelson Mandela, a man who certainly left his mark on the entire world. Last year also brought the 100th birthday of the income tax. But we didn't celebrate that here in February. But that continues to leave its mark. This chamber lost one of its own. And we celebrated Senator Gordon's life yesterday. Ken Gordon. What an amazing man. He used to sit right there. As much as I'm sad that he's gone, I am actually looking forward to our time to share more about him in the upcoming session. What a fitting tribute we saw yesterday to the life of an amazing man who was an amazing leader in the state. So I've been to too many funerals this week. Yesterday was my third memorial service in less than 6 days. I think it's starting to get to me. Speaking of this chamber, of course, 2013 brought historic changes here. So now we have 3 brand new senators. And I had the front row seat here when you were each sworn in. But let me take this opportunity to welcome each of you, Senator Rivera, Senator Herpin, and Senator Zenzinger. Welcome to the Senate. So for all of the veterans, which are, oh, it's the rest of us, you can really tell who's new here. They're still smiling, right? Because their bills haven't yet been assigned to state affairs. You've got a few more minutes. I would be remiss, especially considering the amazing circumstances, if I didn't ask everyone here to join me in thanking your predecessors, President Morse and Senators Huron and Hudak, for their service. Would you please join me? Maybe they're listening. I did invite President Morse. He respectfully declined. And Senator Guzman, thank you for your service. You made history too. You assumed the helm of this institution under unpredictable circumstances. You exhibited amazing grace. Colorado, and most notably this chamber, was incredibly well served by her. God truly blessed us through you. Thank you. "2013 brought changes to this body. We all know what happened. If you don't, you can read about it. So I'm not going to discuss that." Who said, "Oh, good"? Who said that? All of you? Yeah. Wait. I want to talk about why. I want to talk about why it happened. And not just the recalls. I want to talk about why the people of Colorado had such a visceral response to what took place in this legislature last session. I want to talk about why we saw historic reactions by Coloradans to what their General Assembly produced during the first session of the 69th legislative term. History made every day is a popular slogan from the History Channel. History made every day. So why did we make so much history? I think it was fairly applicable in Colorado. Why did we make so much history? Why did we make history with multiple recall attempts and now we have 3 new senators? Why did we make history with a lawsuit that was filed against us by our own law enforcement officials? We have 55 sheriffs suing us over what we did here last year. We only have 64 counties. They even have their own poster talking about suing us. Why did we make history when nearly a dozen counties actually proposed seceding from their own state? Why did we make history when the people of the state rose up to soundly reject a ballot initiative that was predicated on what we passed last session? It was a historic interim. I'm actually sort of looking forward to a campaign interim so we can relax a little. We were just here a few months ago. Some of us probably feel like it was just a few minutes ago. Doesn't it seem hard to believe that all of that really happened since we adjourned? History made every day in Colorado, and the question is why? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Help me out here. Why? It's simple. It's a math problem. It's a math problem. And I know what some of you are probably thinking, sure, when one side has more numbers, the math is your problem on the other side. But it's not that. It's not the numbers. It's the formula. The math problem is the formula. Last year, this chamber was 20 Democrats, 15 Republicans. Those were the numbers. They are now 1817. Those numbers change over time. They change at elections, and sometimes the 18 or more is on the other side. Yes, it happens. The numbers change over time. The problem was the formula. The problem was 20 Democrats versus 15 Republicans. Now, I'm not a mathematician, and I couldn't find a symbol for versus, but I did find one that I think applies here. Divided. Democrats divided by Republicans equaled history made every day. That's what happened. Recalls, lawsuits, secession, and at the ballot. The formula is wrong. President Carroll, you alluded to that. E pluribus unum, from many one. The formula is wrong. Democrats divided by Republicans does not produce outcomes that are representative of Colorado. In addition to the historic events, that formula produced a hyper-partisan toxin that affected this entire institution, those who visit here, and those who serve here. We did start to look like Congress. Nobody wants that, unless you're running for that. When the left side of this chamber is divided by the right side of this chamber, this place does not represent who's outside this chamber, period. President Abraham Lincoln said, "A house divided cannot stand." He was talking about government. When Jesus said it, he was talking about kingdoms in heaven and on earth. He was talking about government. I think they were onto something. History made every day. Let's get rid of that tagline in Colorado. Spanish philosopher, help me out with this name. Jorge Santayana? Close? All right. Santayana, is that? Yeah, I'm getting there. Wisely cautioned, those not willing to learn from history are destined to repeat it. Smart man. Are we willing to learn from history, or are we destined to repeat it? Are we willing to agree that the formula here is broken? I heard allusions this morning, President Carroll, from you that we are. Are we willing to try a new formula? What would the outcomes be if we replace the division sign with an addition sign? Instead of D's divided by R's, what if it were D's plus R's? And we have examples of that, and you alluded to them. But they certainly fade when the hyper-partisan politics and narrow special interests control this institution from that lobby. There are 35 of us here. We each get elected from a district, but everything we do, every vote we cast, every dollar we spend affects the entire state. 5.3 million people, and for their sake, we need to keep focused on our shared values and our common goals, and those challenges to govern continue year after year. The challenges, as you mentioned, President Carroll, about restarting our economy. We are still 50% higher in unemployment than we were just a few years ago. And we still have counties in Colorado that are facing double-digit unemployment, and that's not even the chronic unemployment number. We're challenged to do what's best for reviving rural Colorado, and we know it. We're challenged to remove the barriers, again, as you mentioned, to higher education access and vocational access for working families. And we are challenged, especially this year, to rebuild our infrastructure. And we are greatly challenged to do what's best for our kids, and continued K-12 reform is vital. 26, it's okay. You can join in, it's okay. Actually, this is a pretty sad statistic. 26% of our kids in Colorado go to a school that's getting a failing grade, a D or an F. Can you imagine that? 26%. A quarter of our kids head to a school every day that is failing to provide them the education guaranteed to them by our Constitution. This is unacceptable and it's inexcusable. And if we don't fix this, then we are failing them. We are challenged by these issues. They are complex, they are tough, and this chamber has one session. We get one session to take a crack at this. Term limits guarantees at least 5 of us won't be back next year. Senator Tocktrop, I will miss you, my friend. Senator Schwartz, it's been an honor to serve with you, and I wish you well in your future endeavors. What was your name? Oh, yeah. We had an issue last night. I'm over him. Senator Renfro, a man after God's own heart, and God bless you and your family. It's been such a privilege and an honor to serve with you. Ditto to you. Senator Harvey, that's Ted Harvey, if you don't know who Ted Harvey is, from Highlands Ranch. And Senator Brophy, what an honor it has been to serve with you. My colleagues, Godspeed to you in the future. You will be missed. You made a mark on this place and on this state. Maybe we could share our appreciation for their service right now. So first, there's term limits. What's the other? Oh yeah, there's a campaign year coming up. There's a campaign year coming up. That brings uncertainty about who will be here. Both sides will do their very best and raise as much money as they can to win more seats. That's what we do. We will do our best on each side to change the numbers. But our challenge today is to change the formula. Our challenge is to build up relationships that tear down partisanship. It is up to us right here, right now, Democrats plus Republicans, equals Colorado. Maybe there's some reason that you and I are both wearing purple today. Next year on opening day of 2015, will we look back and say we made history or we repeated it? I will spare us all. I will not go through that list again. You can read about it. If you believe the left side of this chamber plus the right side of this chamber is best for who's outside this chamber, sounds like e pluribus unum. We can make history every day. There's 119 to go. Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you, Senator Cadman. I appreciate your remarks. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me just deviate from the script just a moment, and let me ask everyone in the chamber to thank you, Madam President, and you, Senator Cadman, Minority Leader. Let's thank both of them for setting a wonderful tone. Thank you both.
The Senate will come back to order. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the remarks of the President and the Minority Leader be spread upon the pages of the Journal.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the Senate will post those marks in the Journal, and the Senate will stand in recess. The Senate will come back to order. Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 1 by Senators John and Kerr and Representatives Garcia and McLaughlin concerning making college education more affordable by imposing further restrictions on tuition increases, increasing financial aid, and increasing operating support for each governing board of a state-supported institution of higher education by 11%, and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Education.
Senate Bill 2 by Senators Carroll and Cadman and Representatives Ferrandino and Del Grosso concerning transferring the Safe to Tell program to the Department of Law.
Education.
Senate Bill 3 by Senator Nicholson and Representative Pedersen concerning child care assistance for working families.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 4 by Senator Todd and Representatives Wilson and May concerning the role and mission of community colleges.
Education. Message from the Governor.
May 9, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, reappoint, and submit to your consideration the following members of the Fire and Police Pension Association Board of Directors. For a term expiring September 1st, 2014, David Leroy Baumberger of Castle Rock, Colorado, who has experience in insurance disability claims and occasioned by the resignation of Monica Cortez Sangster of Aurora, Colorado, appointed. This executive order shall partially repeal and replace Executive Order 2013-60, only to the extent that the earlier executive order appointed Mr. David Leroy Baumberger to the Board of Directors of the Fire and Police Pension Association. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Business, Labor, and Technology.
June 14, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and submit to your consideration the following Executive Director of the Department of Corrections, effective immediately for term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Rich Ramish of Waunuki, Wisconsin, on occasion on the resignation of Roger Werholtz of Lawrence, Kansas, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Judiciary.
July 23, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and submit to your consideration the following Commissioner of Insurance. Effective August 19, 2013, for a term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Marguerite Salazar of Alamosa, Colorado, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Business, Labor, and Technology.
August 23, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and submit to consideration the following Executive Director of the Department of Public Health and Environment. Effective September 16, 2013, for a term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Larry I. Walk, MD, MSPH of Englewood, Colorado, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Health and Human Services.
September 17, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and reappoint, and submit to your consideration the following members of the Fire and Police Pension Association Board of Directors. For a term expiring September 1st, 2015, Todd A. Bauer of Denver, Colorado, a full-time paid firefighter, reappointed. For a term expiring September 1st, 2019, Nick Nuanez of Denver, Colorado, a retired firefighter, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Business, Labor, and Technology.
November 25th, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, reappoint, and submit to consideration the following State Board of Equalization. For term expiring September 2nd, 2017, Sandra M. Adams, Denver, Colorado, to serve as a representative with knowledge of property taxation, reappointed. Charles S. Brown of Littleton, Colorado, to serve as a representative with knowledge of property taxation, reappointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Finance.
December 2nd, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, reappoint, and submit to your consideration the following members of the Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority. For terms expiring October 1st, 2017, H. Webster Jones of Steamboat, Colorado, to serve as a representative of the Yampa Drainage Basin and Planning and Development, appointed. Roy Ellsworth Heald of Colorado Springs, Colorado, to serve as a representative of the Arkansas Drainage Basin, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy.
December 20th, 2013, to the Honorable Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the powers conferred upon me by the constitutional laws of the state of Colorado, I have the honor to designate, appoint, and submit to your consideration the following member of the Board of Pinnacle Assurance for a term expiring January 1st, 2016. Bonnie Brown Dean of Greeley, Colorado, an employer whose liability is insured by Pinnacle and occasioned by the resignation of John C. Plotkin of Lakewood, Colorado, appointed. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Business, Labor, and Technology. Are there any announcements? Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. And members, let me just give you a little heads up for the rest of the week. I think you know we will start at 10 a.m. both tomorrow and Friday instead of our normal 9 a.m. start time. Tomorrow morning we're going to convene briefly, take care of a few business items before we adjourn, and then head over to the House for the joint session to receive the state of the state from Governor Hickenlooper. Legislative Legal Services has asked me to remind you about the delivery of bills for Friday's bill introduction deadline. And I'm just going to read what they sent to me. Your finalized bills will be delivered to the front desk for introduction unless you ask Legal Services to deliver the bills to you instead. And if you wish to have a bill delivered directly to you, you must have that bill completely finalized with your Legal Services drafter by 5 p.m. Thursday, that's tomorrow afternoon. If your bill is delivered to you, don't forget to turn it in at the front desk. It would be not good if you don't. No later than 4:30 Friday afternoon. Secondly, once a bill is delivered to the front desk or you for introduction, it should not be returned to Legal Services for changes on Friday. Please make these changes by amendment after it's introduced. And last, please don't return bills that are delivered for introduction to Legal Services to add co-sponsors. Sponsors can be added by the Senate front desk or enrolling room in the enrolling room staff. And the Legal Services asked me to say thank you for that. I have a few other things, Madam President, but I think we have some people here who would like to make an announcement before I conclude.
A couple more announcements. Senators Todd and Marble.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we just didn't get our hand up quite fast enough, but we do have an announcement. I think you all saw the invitation on your desk. This is for men as well as women. For the Colorado Legislative Women's Caucus is inviting you to a reception to kick off the second regular session of the 69th General Assembly. It will be held over at the Carr Judicial Center. Justice and poet Greg Hobbs will introduce Chief Justice Nancy Rice.
And that is this Thursday, January 9th. And it goes from 3 to 5 p.m. There's light refreshments, so all of you who are suffering from over the holidays, overindulgence, you don't have to worry. They are light, guaranteed. Optional, there is a Ralph Carr Judicial Center tour from 2 to 3 p.m. for anyone who would like to engage. Thank you so much, and we really look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you both. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Health Committee, you can't take the tour because we are meeting tomorrow at 1:30 in the afternoon to have 2 presentations. Thank you.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. As is traditional in the opening day, opening evening, the Restaurant Association, who represents thousands of small businesses in all of our districts, will be having their opening day evening gala over at the Grand Hyatt this evening, 5 o'clock. Senator Marble, I don't think that we can guarantee that it will be light fare served, but you can eat as much as you want. So hope to see you all there this evening.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. I just want to remind those members of the Capital Development Committee, we'll see you bright and early at 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. And Senator Stavely wanted me to make sure everybody knows that JBC meets at 1:30. Life goes on, and with those folks, and we appreciate all that they do. Today, rather than adjourn, I'm going to move that the Senate stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon, so we'll be able to let everyone go now. We need to read bills across the desk. So you do not need to come back this afternoon. So with that, Madam President, I move that the Senate stand in recess until 1 p.m. later today.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the Senate will be in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.